I didn't steal anything, Mr. Whitmore. Please, you have to believe me. That single line shattered the laughter inside the Whitmore mansion. Moments later, Maid Maya Lopez was dragged away, accused of stealing $800,000 she never touched. But the truth was far more dangerous than anyone imagined. Behind those golden walls hid lies, betrayal, and a secret that could destroy an entire family. What was Claire really hiding? Watch till the end, the final reveal will shock you. Hook 1. Imagine being framed for a crime you didn't commit, losing everything in one night. But what if a child's love exposed the real thief? Stay with me. The Whitmore mansion glowed under soft, golden chandeliers, every wall whispering money and secrets. Guests laughed over champagne and piano music, but beneath the luxury, tension waited like smoke before a fire. In the kitchen, Maya Lopez, 28, moved with quiet precision. Her black maid's uniform was spotless, her hair tied neatly back. She'd worked for the Whitmores for 3 years, long enough to know that perfection wasn't optional. It was survival. Miss Maya, a small voice whispered. She turned. Ethan, 6 years old, stood in the doorway holding her apron. His brown eyes carried the kind of sadness no child should know. Can I stay with you? I don't like the people out there. Maya smiled softly. You know I have to work, sweetheart. But I'll be close, okay? He nodded. Promise you won't disappear like last time. Her heart sank. He still remembered the Christmas party. How Claire Whitmore, Ethan's stepmother, had sent her home early for reasons Maya never understood. I promise, she said gently. Ethan. Claire's voice sliced through the warmth like ice water. She stepped into the kitchen in a satin gold gown, her makeup perfect, her smile practiced. Darling, don't bother Maya. She's busy. It's fine, ma'am, Maya said quickly. Claire tilted her head, eyes cold despite the smile. You're too kind. But there's a line, isn't there? Ethan needs to spend time with people his age. Not staff. Ethan lowered his gaze. Maya just nodded, the sting buried under years of restraint. Yes, Mrs. Whitmore. Good, Claire said, turning on her heels. And make sure the gift Ethan made me is wrapped beautifully. Presentation matters. An hour later, the guests arrived. Los Angeles elites in designer suits and sequin dresses. Maya moved among them like a shadow, serving champagne, clearing glasses, pretending not to exist. She'd mastered the art of being invisible in a room full of eyes. Across the living room, Richard Whitmore, Ethan's father, stood with a few investors discussing a property deal. His voice was confident, but his collar was loosened, sweat showing at his temples. He had the weight of a man carrying too many expectations. Then came Daniel Hayes, Richard's old college friend and business partner. Impeccable suit, silver hair, the easy charm of a man who never worked a day without being admired. He kissed Claire's hand and whispered something that made her laugh. Too softly, too long. Maya caught the glance. It wasn't her place to notice, but something about that exchange felt wrong. Ethan tugged her sleeve again. Can we go upstairs? He asked quietly. In a bit, she whispered. Just stay where I can see you. But Claire appeared again, smile sharp as glass. Where are you two headed? The boy just needs a break, Maya said gently. Claire's tone cooled further. The guests will think he's rude if he hides. And Maya, there are empty glasses on the main table. Yes, ma'am. 20 minutes later, Richard returned from his office, pale and tense. Has anyone been in my study tonight? He asked loudly. The room fell silent. Claire approached, her face a mask of concern. What's wrong? The safe is open. The cash is gone. A murmur rippled through the guests. How much? Someone asked. 800,000. Richard said, his voice breaking slightly. The down payment for the Palano property. It was there this afternoon. Claire covered her mouth in horror. Oh my God! Richard, I saw someone leaving your study earlier. Who? He asked. Claire hesitated, tears forming perfectly on cue. Maya, I thought she was cleaning. Every head turned. Maya froze, her tray trembling in her hands. That's not true, she said, voice shaking. I haven't been near the study. Maya, please, Claire cried. Don't make this worse. I didn't take anything. Ask Ethan. He was with me most of the night. Children aren't reliable witnesses, Claire said, clutching Ethan protectively, especially when they're attached to the wrong people. Ethan pulled away. She didn't do it. Maya would never steal. But Richard's expression had changed. His eyes, once kind, were clouded with confusion and doubt. Can you explain why Claire saw you there? He asked quietly. Because she's lying, Maya blurted out before she could stop herself. That's enough, he said sharply. Until we figure this out, please come with security. The guard stepped forward. Maya's knees weakened, but she kept her chin high. Mr. Whitmore, please, you know me. I've worked here for years. No answer, only silence and averted gazes. Ethan cried, struggling in Claire's arms. Dad, don't let them take her. She didn't do anything. Claire held him tighter. Sweetheart, I know you love her, but sometimes people disappoint us. Maya's eyes filled with tears. I'm innocent, she whispered, but no one listened. As they dragged her toward the door, she looked back one last time. Ethan's small face was streaked with tears as he screamed her name, his voice echoing through the marble halls. Richard stood motionless, watching his world fracture, his wife crying, his son begging, and his most loyal worker being escorted out like a criminal. The last thing Maya saw before the door closed was Ethan reaching for her. His hand pressed against the air, as if trying to hold her there. Then darkness, the laughter, the music, the glitter, all gone. Maya sat on the edge of her narrow bed, the hum of the city outside barely reaching her small apartment. The luxury she used to clean now felt like a dream from another life. Her hands still trembled from that night, the whispering guests, the disbelief in Richard's eyes, the way Claire's fake tears had sealed her fate. On the bedside table sat a framed photo of a little girl with bright eyes and missing teeth. Lucia, age 8. Maya traced the glass with her thumb. I'm sorry, baby, she whispered. Mama messed up again. The phone buzzed. Hola, Maya, came her mother's weak voice from back home in Puebla. How are you, Hija? You sound tired. I'm fine, Mama. Just tired from work. Did you save enough for my medicine? Maya stared at the ceiling. The savings she'd set aside for her mother's treatment, gone, soon to vanish into rent and food. Yes, Mama. She lied softly. I'll send it tomorrow. Gracias, Hija. God bless you. How's the little boy you take care of, Ethan? Maya's throat tightened. He's okay. Growing fast. When the call ended, silence filled the room. She wanted to cry, but even tears felt like a luxury she couldn't afford. Days passed. Every attempt to find new work ended the same way. At one house, the lady smiled politely until she made a phone call. You said you worked for the Whitmores? Yes, ma'am. The woman's face changed. I'm sorry. The position's already filled. At another, a maid answered the door before Maya could even knock. Mrs. Larkin said she's not hiring anymore. From the upstairs window, Maya saw a woman peeking through the curtains. The world of wealthy employers was small. Claire had made sure her name was poisoned everywhere. That evening, Maya walked home under flickering street lights, shoes worn thin, soul thinner. When she reached her building, she froze. A small figure sat on the front steps, knees to chest, face hidden. Ethan. He looked up, eyes red and puffy, his tiny backpack half open beside him. Ethan, how did you get here? I took a taxi, he said hoarsely. I remembered your address from when Dad gave you a ride once. Maya knelt, heart racing. Oh my God, your father must be worried sick. He doesn't care, Ethan said quietly. Claire doesn't talk to me. She just tells me to eat and be quiet. Dad's always gone. Maya swallowed hard. When did you last eat? Yesterday morning. She said if I didn't like her oatmeal, I didn't have to eat. That broke her. Come on, she said, taking his hand. Let's get you something real. 3 blocks away, a little taco stand buzzed with life. Donor roses, a hole in the wall with plastic tables and a smell of grilled beef and lime. Ethan stared at the sizzling grill like it was magic. Ever had tacos? Maya asked. He shook his head. Not like these. She ordered 2 plates and horchata for both. Ethan devoured his food like someone tasting happiness for the first time. Slow down, she laughed softly. They're not going anywhere. They're so good, he said between bites. Why doesn't Claire cook like this? Because some people think love doesn't belong in food, Maya said half to herself. After a few quiet minutes, Ethan asked, Why can't you come back home? Maya hesitated. Because your dad and Claire think I did something wrong. But you didn't. No, she said. Sometimes adults believe what's easiest to believe. He played with his straw. Claire said people like you come and go. What did she mean? Maya looked away, blinking back heat in her eyes. I don't know, honey. Maybe she doesn't understand people like me. She also said you never really loved me. That you were just nice because they paid you. Maya froze. That one cut deeper than anything. She leaned forward, voice trembling. Ethan, listen to me. I love you because you're you, not because of money. You're my family, whether I work there or not. His eyes welled up. Then why can't you come back? Because life isn't fair, she whispered. At that moment, a black Mercedes screeched to a stop outside the taco stand. Richard stepped out, anger and fear mixing on his face. Ethan! He shouted, rushing toward them. What the hell were you thinking? Ethan jumped. Dad, Richard turned to Maya, pointing. How dare you take him from my house? I didn't, Maya said, standing quickly. He showed up at my door. I would never. Don't lie to me. A 6-year-old doesn't cross the city alone. That's exactly what happened. She insisted. Stop. Ethan cried. I ran away. She didn't take me. Richard froze. You ran away? Because no one listens. Claire lies. Maya didn't steal anything. People in the taco stand turned to watch. Maya wanted to disappear. Mr. Whitmore, she said softly. I swear I only wanted to feed him. He was starving. Richard's anger cracked for a second, replaced by exhaustion. If you ever go near my son again, he said, voice low, I'll call the police. Dad, please. No, Ethan, let's go. He grabbed the boy's arm, but Ethan resisted. I don't want to go. Claire doesn't care about me. She laughs and sings like nothing happened. Richard blinked. She what? Ethan lowered his voice, glancing at Maya. Last night she was on the phone laughing. This morning she was singing in the shower. She's not sad like she says. Richard's jaw tightened, but he didn't answer. He picked Ethan up as the boy cried out. Maya, don't let them take me. She could only watch as the car pulled away. Ethan's voice echoing behind the glass. She's lying, Dad. Claire's lying. Maya stood frozen on the sidewalk. The words looped in her head. Claire's lying. Claire's lying. Something clicked. Claire had known exactly when Richard's study had been opened. She'd been too precise, too rehearsed. And Daniel, arriving late that night, whispering in her ear. Maya's breath steadied. For the first time since that awful party, she felt something new in her chest. Not fear, resolve. If Claire Whitmore had framed her, Maya would find proof. Not just for herself, for Ethan. Because if Claire was lying about the money, what else was she lying about? Maya turned toward the glowing city skyline, her reflection flickering in the restaurant window like a woman reborn. The world had taken everything from her. Her job, her reputation, her peace. Now she was going to take the truth back. Hook 2. What if the real thief was planning to escape with the money forever? But a brave kid had a secret weapon. Keep watching, you won't believe what happens next. 3 days later, Richard Whitmore made a decision that surprised everyone, including himself. When he told Claire, she nearly dropped her coffee cup. Maya's coming back. The words hung in the air like a threat. Claire blinked, her perfect smile twitching. I'm sorry, what did you just say? Ethan's not eating. He barely sleeps. The school called. He's failing classes, crying in the bathroom. He needs stability. Stability? Claire repeated, her tone dripping with disbelief. You mean bringing back the woman who stole from us? We never proved that, Richard said quietly. And until we do, I can't ruin her life over suspicion. Claire slammed her cup down. If that woman steps foot in this house again, I'm leaving. Richard didn't flinch. You'll survive a week without getting your way. Ethan, standing quietly in the hallway, bit back a smile for the first time in days. That afternoon, Richard called Maya. His voice was polite but stiff. Rehearsed. It would be temporary, he said. A week while I'm in San Diego for work. You'll be under supervision. Claire will handle everything while I'm gone. Maya hesitated. It wasn't forgiveness she heard. It was guilt. But it was also an opportunity. I'll come, she said simply. The next morning the Whitmore mansion stood exactly as she remembered, grand, cold, immaculate. But to Maya, it felt like enemy territory. Ethan was the first to see her. He ran across the marble floor and threw his arms around her waist. You came back. She hugged him tight, breathing in the scent of his shampoo. I told you I'd never leave forever, didn't I? You kept your promise, he whispered. From the staircase, Claire watched, expression unreadable, smile tight. When Richard carried his suitcase to the car, he kissed Claire's cheek, gave Ethan a quick hug, and nodded politely at Maya. I'll be back Friday, he said. Let's all try to make this a peaceful week. As the car disappeared down the long driveway, Claire descended the stairs. Her heels clicked sharply against the marble. I hope you understand, she began, voice cool and smooth. You're only here because Richard feels sorry for you. I understand, Maya said softly. Good. Then let's be clear about a few things. Claire gestured toward Maya's purse. That stays here in the entryway. You don't need it while working. Of course, the study is off limits completely, even for cleaning. Yes, ma'am. And you do not answer the house phone. If it rings, you find me immediately. Maya nodded. Claire smiled sweetly. Perfect. Follow the rules, and we won't have any problems. From that moment on, the house felt like a prison. Every move Maya made was shadowed by Claire's presence. If Maya dusted the bookshelves, Claire appeared with a glass of wine, pretending to read. If she cooked, Claire leaned against the counter, inspecting every ingredient. Ethan noticed, too. Why is she watching you all the time? He whispered one morning while Maya scrambled eggs. She just wants to make sure I do things right, Maya said, glancing at the living room where Claire sat pretending to scroll through her phone. But you always do things right. Maya smiled sadly. Some people need proof anyway. Claire approached, smile perfectly polished. Ethan, finish your breakfast, sweetheart. Maya's busy. Yes, Mom. His voice was flat. As the days passed, Claire tightened her grip. She introduced a rigid new schedule. 15 minutes for homework, 20 for playtime, 5 for bedtime stories. Ethan hated it. She says it's for my own good, he muttered once, eyes downcast. But it feels like she's taking me away from you. That night, Maya overheard a phone call from the living room. Claire's voice was low, impatient. No, he's still gone. Of course, he suspects nothing. Yes, I'll handle her. Don't call this number again. The name Daniel slipped through between her words like poison. Maya froze behind the kitchen doorway, heart pounding. So, she is still talking to him. 2 mornings later, Claire called Maya to the foyer. She held a $50 bill between her manicured fingers. Can you explain this? Maya blinked. That's mine. My last pay. How convenient, Claire said coolly. Because there's $50 missing from the kitchen petty cash. That's a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. Ethan appeared halfway down the stairs wide-eyed. What's happening? Nothing, sweetheart, Claire said sweetly. Just a misunderstanding. Did you take it, Maya? He asked softly. Maya's heart broke. No, Ethan, I didn't. But she saw it. The tiny spark of doubt flicker in his eyes. Claire had planted the seed perfectly. Claire sighed dramatically. Against my better judgment, I'll let this go. But from now on, there will be stricter rules. By Friday, Maya felt trapped. Claire monitored her every step, turning Ethan against her one whisper at a time. That afternoon, while cleaning the master bedroom, Maya found something strange. A crumpled paper inside the trash bin. A bank statement. Claire's name printed in the corner showing transfers to online gambling sites and ATM withdrawals at midnight. The balance negative $2 million. Before she could process it, Claire's voice cut through the silence. What do you think you're doing? Maya spun around. I was just emptying the trash. This fell out. Give it to me. I didn't mean now. Claire snatched the paper from her hand, eyes blazing. How dare you go through my private things? I wasn't. Save it. This is exactly what I expected from you. Snooping, scheming just like before. Her voice rose to a scream. You're done here. Ethan came running in. Mom, what happened? Ask her. Claire shouted, waving the paper. She was going through my financial records. Maya shook her head desperately. That's not true, Ethan. It fell out while I was cleaning. Stop lying, Claire hissed. She's been spying on us since she got here. Ethan, you have to believe me. But the boy's eyes were filled with confusion now, torn between love and doubt. Enough, Claire said, her voice suddenly calm, almost gentle. Maya, pack your things. I didn't do anything wrong. Then you'll have no problem leaving quietly. At that moment, Daniel appeared in the doorway like a vulture smelling blood. What's going on? He asked smoothly. Oh, Daniel, Claire said with a weary sigh. Just catching Maya where she shouldn't be. Daniel's gaze turned cold. That's serious, Maya. Maybe it's best you go before this gets uglier. Maya looked between them and saw it. The glint of shared guilt in their eyes. She said nothing, only whispered to Ethan as she passed. Take care of yourself, sweetheart. Claire pulled him close. Don't worry, darling. I'll protect you. She's gone for good this time. As Maya stepped outside, the door slammed behind her. From inside, she heard Ethan's muffled sobs and Claire's voice suddenly cold, stripped of its sugary tone. It's almost over, Daniel, she said. Just one more step. Maya froze on the porch, pulse racing. It was all she needed to hear. This wasn't over. It was just beginning. For 2 days after Maya's final exit, the Whitmore mansion was silent, not peaceful, just hollow. Ethan barely spoke. He'd sit at the breakfast table stirring cereal until it went soggy. Claire pretended not to notice, but every spoon clinking against the bowl felt like an accusation. By Wednesday morning, she snapped. Ethan, this attitude has gone on long enough. He didn't look up. I'm fine. No, you're not, she said sharply. You're being disrespectful. If your father knew how you've been treating me, he'd finally see who you really are. The words hit him like a slap. What did you just say? Nothing, Ethan muttered, sliding off his chair. Oh, no, you're not walking away from me, she said, grabbing his arm. We're going to talk about this now. He faced her, small but fierce. Why did you kick Maya out again? Claire's expression hardened. Because she can't be trusted. You're lying. Claire's composure faltered for the first time. Watch your tone. I heard you, Ethan said quietly. You and Daniel talking. For a brief second Claire froze, but quickly recovered with a laugh. Sweetheart, you must have misunderstood. No, he said firmly. You said she was getting too close. You said you had to finish it. Her face turned pale. You were spying on me. You were lying to Dad. Ethan, she snapped, voice rising. Enough. He flinched but stood his ground. You hurt Maya, and I'm going to tell Dad. Claire's eyes darkened with a fury Ethan had never seen before. You will not repeat those words to anyone, she hissed. Do you understand me? He backed away. You can't stop me. Oh, I can. Her voice was low, dangerous. Because no one's going to believe an angry little boy over his stepmother. Ethan ran up the stairs, slamming his door. His heart hammered, but beneath the fear, something burned brighter. Determination. That night he waited. He noticed Claire always took her phone calls late after his dad went to bed. He turned on his tablet's voice recorder and crept into the hallway. Downstairs, Claire's voice floated through the dark. Yes, Daniel. Everything's ready. The transfer goes through tomorrow morning. Richard's completely convinced I'm just visiting my sister. A pause, then laughter, cold and genuine. Relax. I told you the kid's not a problem. He believes whatever I say. Ethan's breath caught. He crouched behind the railing, holding his tablet close, making sure it caught every word. Daniel's voice came through faintly. You're sure Richard won't notice? By the time he does, we'll be gone, Claire whispered. He's too blinded by guilt to see straight. Just like with the money from the safe. Ethan almost dropped the tablet. The money from the safe. He waited until Claire hung up, then sprinted to his room and replayed the recording over and over. It was all there. Her voice, the confession, Daniel's name, proof. The next morning, the house was chaos. Claire dragged 2 suitcases down the hall dressed in casual travel clothes. Are you going somewhere? Ethan asked, standing at the bottom of the stairs. She smiled too sweetly. I'm visiting Aunt Linda. You'll stay with your father. Why is Daniel picking you up? Her smile faltered. He's headed to the same city for business. Coincidence. Watch your mouth, she said coldly and walked past him. Richard came down seconds later, adjusting his tie. You're leaving already? Yes, dear, she said, brushing a kiss against his cheek. I just need a break. Take care, he said flatly. Ethan watched from the window as Daniel's car rolled away. His fingers tightened around his tablet. He knew what he had to do. At that same moment, downtown, Richard's phone rang. Mr. Whitmore, this is Javier Mendoza from First American Bank. We need to confirm a wire transfer from your account last night. What transfer? $800,000 to a Daniel Hayes. Richard froze. That's impossible. I didn't authorize any transfer. It was processed through your online portal, sir. Same credentials used as before. Richard's stomach dropped. Only 2 people knew those credentials, him and Claire. He hung up and bolted for his car. The drive home blurred past him, every traffic light a pulse in his vision. When he burst into the house, Ethan was waiting at the foot of the stairs, tablet in hand. Dad, Ethan said breathlessly. You need to hear this. Not now, son. Please, it's about Mom. Something in his tone made Richard stop. Ethan pressed play. Claire's voice filled the room smooth and damning. Yes, Daniel. The transfer goes through tomorrow. Richard's completely convinced I'm just visiting my sister. He's too blinded by guilt to see straight. Just like with the money from the safe. Richard went still, his mind racing. She'd stolen from him. Lied to him. Used him? Ethan's eyes were glassy with tears. You believe me now? Richard's voice cracked. I do, son. I do. He grabbed his phone, dialing 911. This is Richard Whitmore. I need to report a theft and a possible flight attempt. The suspects are headed for LAX right now. Within minutes, 2 patrol cars were en route. At Los Angeles International Airport, Claire stood near the gate in oversized sunglasses and a silk scarf. Daniel scrolled through his phone beside her. Relax, she said under her breath. By the time Richard figures it out, we'll be in Costa Rica. Daniel smirked. You always did know how to clean up a mess. Claire Santee and Daniel Hayes. A voice shouted. 2 uniformed officers stepped forward, followed by a man and a boy, Richard and Ethan. Claire's head snapped up. Her perfect composure shattered. Richard, what are you doing here? Ending this, he said. The officers surrounded them. You're under arrest for grand larceny and conspiracy to commit fraud. Daniel raised his hands. This is a mistake. Save it, Richard said coldly. We have a recording. Your voices, the transfer, everything. Claire turned to Ethan, eyes wild. Sweetheart, you don't understand. She manipulated you, Maya. She. Ethan stepped forward, trembling but firm. Maya never lied. You did. Her face went pale. When the officers cuffed her, she stopped struggling and whispered. You think you've won, Richard? I did this for us. No, he said. You did it for yourself. They led her away. Ethan watched silently, clutching his tablet, the same device that had saved them all. Hours later, the mansion was quiet again. Richard sat on the edge of Ethan's bed. You were brave today, he said softly. You saved us both. Ethan looked down. We have to tell Maya. Richard nodded. We will tonight. He dialed her number, voice trembling with remorse. Maya, it's Richard Whitmore. A pause. I owe you an apology and so much more. The knock on Maya's door came just after sunset. She hesitated before opening it, half expecting another rejection, another reminder of everything she'd lost. But when she did, her breath caught. Richard and Ethan stood in the hallway, both looking like men who'd traveled through hell and back. Mr. Whitmore, she said cautiously. Ethan. The boy rushed forward, throwing his arms around her waist. Maya, he cried, voice breaking. You were right. You didn't do anything wrong. Maya dropped to her knees, hugging him tight, tears spilling freely. Oh, sweetheart, I missed you so much. When she looked up, Richard was still standing at the door, hat in hand, something humble, something human in his posture. May we come in? He asked quietly. She nodded. The apartment was small, just a single lamp, a thin rug, the faded photo of her daughter still resting on the table. Richard glanced around, guilt softening his features. I didn't realize, he murmured. You weren't supposed to, Maya replied gently. I never invited pity into my life. Ethan sat on the couch, tablet in his lap. Dad told me what happened. They got arrested, Maya, at the airport. Claire and Daniel. The police said they had everything. Your money, the recording, everything. Richard's voice cracked. He's telling the truth. Claire was the one who stole from me. She and Daniel planned it all. The lies, the accusations, everything. Maya's hands trembled. She had dreamed of hearing those words, but now they only made her heart ache. So, it's finally over, she whispered. Yes, Richard said, stepping closer. Because of Ethan, and because of you. You were the only one who ever told the truth. She stared at him for a long moment, then asked, Why are you here? Richard exhaled slowly. To apologize publicly. To ask you to come back, not as an employee, but as family. Maya blinked, unsure if she'd heard right. Family? Yes, he said firmly. You cared for my son when his mother didn't. You gave him love when money couldn't. I can't erase what happened. But I can make sure you're never treated like that again. Ethan reached for her hand. Please, Maya, come home. I need you. She looked between them. Father and son, broken yet sincere, and finally nodded. All right, let's go home. The next morning, sunlight spilled across the Whitmore mansion. Neighbors, friends, and even former guests had gathered in the garden after Richard's invitation. He stood before them, holding a microphone. Maya and Ethan waited by his side. 3 weeks ago. Richard began, voice steady, but heavy with shame. I made a terrible mistake. I accused an innocent woman of theft, a woman who'd served my family with honesty and grace for years. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. He continued, eyes locked on Maya. Maya Lopez was framed by my wife and my former business partner. Both are now in custody for grand larceny and fraud. Today, I stand here to do the only thing I can to make this right. He turned to her. Maya, on behalf of my family, I'm sorry. The guests, some of the same faces who had once whispered judgment, fell silent. Maya stepped forward, her voice calm but clear. I accept your apology, Mr. Whitmore. But this isn't just about me. It's about what people choose to believe when someone poor stands against someone powerful. The crowd looked away, guilt softening their expensive masks. Ethan tugged at her hand. Tell them what you always tell me. She smiled faintly. That truth doesn't need permission to exist. A gentle applause broke out, hesitant at first, then sincere. Weeks passed. The mansion felt different now, warmer, lived in. Maya had her own room upstairs, no longer the maid's quarters, but a guest suite near Ethan's. She cooked, cleaned, and managed the house still, but not because she had to. Because she wanted to. Richard often joined them for dinner, learning slowly what it meant to be a father who listened. Sometimes they ate takeout, laughing over Ethan's stories from school. Other nights Maya would prepare something from her mother's recipes, simple, soulful dishes that filled the home with life again. One afternoon, they were in the backyard, kneeling in the soil near the flower beds. Which one should we plant? Maya asked. Ethan pointed to the bright yellow seeds in her hand. Sunflowers. So there's always something happy to look at. She smiled. Sunflowers it is. They dug quietly for a while. The late afternoon sun painting the world gold. Maya, Ethan said suddenly. Yes, sweetheart. Can I ask you something kind of big? Always. My friend Carlos calls his nanny Mama Rosa, and my other friend calls his caretaker Mom Tia. He paused, voice small but sure. Can I call you Mom Maya? The trowel slipped from her hand. Tears welled up before she could stop them. She turned to face him, voice trembling. Ethan, you don't need to call me that out of kindness. He shook his head. It's not kindness. It's true. You're my mom, the real one. For a long moment, Maya couldn't speak. Then she reached for him, pulling him into her arms. Okay, my boy, she whispered. If that's what your heart says, then that's who I'll be. From the kitchen window, Richard watched them, a quiet smile softening his face. For the first time in years, the mansion looked alive again, not just full of light, but full of warmth. He carried out a tray of coffee and lemonade. Break time for my gardeners? He teased. Maya laughed softly. Only if you're helping. Wouldn't miss it, he said, kneeling beside them. They planted together in silence. The three of them, no longer master, maid, and son, but something entirely new. Family. As the sun dipped lower, Ethan pointed to the row of freshly planted sunflowers. They'll bloom soon. Yes, Maya said, pressing her palm into the soil. Good things always take time. That night, as she tucked Ethan into bed, he asked, Do you think the house feels different now? She smiled. It finally feels like home. Because of you, he said sleepily. She brushed his hair back. No, sweetheart, because of us. Outside the garden swayed gently in the night breeze. Somewhere beyond the hills, Los Angeles glittered like a city reborn. And in one small corner of it, a mansion that had once been filled with lies and suspicion, laughter returned. For Maya Lopez, the maid who had been accused, humiliated, and forgotten, life had come full circle. Truth had won. Love had survived. And in the glow of the moonlight, as the first sunflower sprout broke through the soil, she knew she hadn't just cleared her name. She'd built a new story, one no lie could ever destroy.